Thank you for letting me speak to all of you, and thank you for all of us coming together. It feels really good to be here. And I want to remind you that even though we haven't been at church, there are lots and lots of things that have been going on here. Every week, almost every day of the week, we're giving and providing some service through this facility. And no one could help, if you live in this area, to notice every other Tuesday when our church sponsors a food share van that comes here, the traffic is out into the street. And every Wednesday as well, when we have Waste Not, Want Not, the traffic is often out into the street. And sometimes those people wait for more than an hour to process through that line. We have given, during this pandemic, so since March, over 99,300 meals. We have served over 5,000 volunteer hours. We've given away over 400,000 loaves of bread, 250,000 pounds of luncheon meat. But these are just huge numbers. And in this pandemic, number-driven society that we're in right now, they mean nothing. So let me tell you something about the people that are in that line. And one man who's never been in that line called me early on, March or April. He lives near here, and he drives by frequently and sees the traffic that we do on Wednesdays. And he said, "Are you connected with what goes on at South Church on Wednesdays?" "Yes, I am." And he said, "I need to do something. I see what you're doing there. The world is so crazy. I don't understand it. I can't get a handle on it. I have nothing to do with your church. But I want to do something. I want to give you some money." And so I told him, we have a P.O. box. And he said, no, I want to give you some money. I need to do it today. I need to do it now. He was in that big a panic. He just felt so much that the world was out of control and he needed to do something. So I said, "I live right across the street. I can meet you there. I can meet you there now if you want." He said, "Okay, in 15 minutes, will you meet me there?" And I did. This is a hardworking, average, middle-class person. And he gave me a check for $500 that afternoon because he said, "I need to do something to help. The world is beyond what I can understand." He did that about 2 months later. He did it again. He called me again and said, "Could you meet me again in the back of your church? I'd like to give you some money again." And he did. That money meant sacrifice for that man and his family. He wasn't rich, but he felt that he needed to do something, and he'd seen the evidence of the work that goes on here. Week by week, he'd passed by and seen it, and he needed to do that. I will never forget that man's generosity. Last week, a woman came to the dinner, and she waited in that line probably an hour or more. I'd never seen her before. She was about my age, maybe a little younger. But she said, "Somebody told me I could come here and that you give a meal." And she was shaking, she was nervous. And I offered her the dinner, told her what it was, we don't reach into the cars. We put the food in this passenger seat, the trunk, or the back seat. But in her case, I handed it into the passenger seat. And it gave me a little opportunity to talk to her about how lonely she was. That's the key word that we hear. Lonely, isolated, frightened, can't go here, can't go there. So I handed her off in a few minutes to another volunteer, and she went through the circle. She gave me $5 for the meal and thanked me. And she said, "I feel better." About 30 minutes later, that same woman was in the line again. And she looked at me again, and I kind of laughed at her. And she said, "Well, you made me feel so much better just being here. I thought about a neighbor who probably feels as bad as I do. And so, is it okay? Can I have another meal?" And of course, we gave it to her. And I said, "That's the nicest thing you could have said to me, that you wanted to come back and share what we're offering." to somebody else. So thank you. And so she went through the whole process again, which isn't easy, believe me. And she gave me $5 again. And I'm not going to forget that loan. We have a foster family that's been coming for a good while to our meals, different numbers of young people with them. And they came about a year ago on a Wednesday night, and one of the children was poorly dressed, and they told us that she had been emergency placed the night before. She came in her underwear. This is a young teenager. She was 13 plus. And there'd been a tragedy, so they brought her and placed her in this home. And the very next day, they came to our dinner. So when we heard her situation, and we also heard that she was going to be 14 on Friday, all the volunteers gathered together. They made a plan. We went to TJ Maxx. We searched through closets, called on people, and we put together appropriate clothing, footwear, all of it used but clean and good. And we gave her a box of that on Friday. We arranged to meet the mother here. And we also had a few gift wrap packages and a birthday cake, which we have plethora of cakes always. So we gave her that so the family could support the 14th birthday of this young girl. Well, they drove through here, again, it was a couple of weeks ago, and the young girl was just itching in the car, so excited to get attention when she got to the walkway in the drive-through. And she said to me, guess what? I've been adopted. She was so excited to share that news. And so I asked her a few questions about her adopted family, and she tried to carry off a little bit of a joke, but she couldn't. And then she started giggling, and she said, well, you know my family. This is my family. This family that I've been living with for a year is now my real family. They're going to be my family forever. My adoption is this week. And again, I can't express the emotion that was exchanged, that this had happened and we had somehow been a small part of that. So we had a Tagless Sale a few weeks ago, and I know that most of you probably drove by your church and said, what the heck is going on here now with all this clutter? We had a lot of people call us and say, I have stuff, can you use some more stuff? And we told them all no, but we had invited only our diners, and we told them for 3 weeks in a row, we reminded them, we're gonna do this for you, because we don't have the ability to be in the building and give out to you weekly on the back counter under the Granby Oak painting. So we're gonna do it this way, and we put out shoes and socks and coats and scarves and gloves and anything else that we had collected, some small furniture. And some idiot who was planning it said 8 o'clock would be a good time to start this, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And our first customer showed up just about 8 o'clock. She was a local person. She said she lives down the road. She was getting off her night shift job. And she was able to find a bed for her adult son. So we disassembled it, helped her get it in her car, and she was off on her way. I did tell her about what goes on here on Wednesdays. And she said, oh, thank you. If I find somebody that I know that's needy, I'll tell them about your dinner. But the next day, when she got off her shift at 8 o'clock, she was here again. She said, I so appreciate that bed and all the other things that go on here. Today's gonna be a hot day. I brought you a case of cold water, and I wanted to thank you. That was amazing to me. But the best thing about the whole weekend was it became an international event. We have a connection with a social worker in Hartford, and sometimes she'll call us and she'll say, I have a family that just has squeezed through the cracks and we don't have any services for them. Could you provide them with food? They're often Spanish-speaking, non-English-speaking, recent immigrants. So we meet that family and we try to give them what they specifically need or want to eat. And we'll do that several weeks in a row. We meet them not on Wednesday, but on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday morning. So we did call that social worker and tell her we were doing this tagless sale. And about 8 to 10 of her clients showed up, and they clothed their children and sometimes themselves for winter. And they were so appreciative. I'm not sure if that was the channel, but later the day, a missionary from Ghana appeared, and he took and was going to ship back to his homeland athletic equipment for kids. And we had soccer cleats and basketballs and all sorts of different sports things and some puzzles and teaching games that were here. He took them all to ship to Ghana, and he gave us a $100 bill when he left, and he was very grateful. I'm not making this up, I promise. Later the same day, we had a missionary who came, who had heard about us, and he was looking for things to send to his native home in Zimbabwe. He too looked through all the tables and took arms full of things that he was going to ship to Zimbabwe. And these are things perhaps some of you had donated before. On Sunday, we had a missionary from Jamaica. He said, I'm going to send these things to Jamaica. I work out of a mission in Manchester. And he took arms full to his car. I can't make things like this up. But some of our diners came too, maybe 10 or 15 of them. One man wanted to stay all day because he found a comfortable chair. But they came because they wanted to support us. They came because they could get out of their car and talk to us and feel community. And they came to say thank you for all the ways that you provide for us. That was an amazing thing to me. And so I and all of the volunteers that are in the church or outside of the church from Waste Not, Want Not want to say how grateful we are for the space, for the utilities, for the buildings, and for all the support that this church gives, and all the work that goes on because of you, and all the things that we're able to do. And all of this is done in a loving way to serve God. So thank you.